Hi, welcome to my next video. This time I wanted to show you first part in a small series of videos about how I illustrated Kobe for Glico's Kobe chocolate. In this part I wanted to talk about the whole project, what it's about, how I did it, what I did, and I'll also cover the technical aspects of the project because they are a part of the reason why I was in the first place asked to do this thing. Okay, so starting from the beginning, I was asked to do the package designs, so the illustrations for packages of Kobe roast chocolate. So this is a brand of chocolate made by the company called Glico, and you probably know this company because it also makes the Pocky sticks. So the sticks that are really popular in Japan and kind of a meme thing outside of Japan too. So I was asked to do a series of illustrations about Kobe because the chocolate is Kobe based, is Kobe themed, and I lived in Kobe for 4 years when I first came to Japan, so I knew most of the famous sites of the city, I could draw it. And I was kind of excited actually about doing some illustrations of the famous Kobe sites. Because while I was in Kobe, I based some of my works in Kobe. I did some backgrounds to my illustrations that were based on the city, but I didn't have the chance to actually go more deep into this and do some like famous Kobe sites illustrations or series of illustrations. And the second reason why I was asked to do this project in the first place was that they wanted me to use the inks that are also Kobe themed. So there is a company in Kobe called Nagasawa that makes a series of fountain pen color inks that are Kobe themed. So each of the colors in this series of more than 70 colors already is based on a certain place in Kobe. So you have, for example, the green of Mountain Rocco, or you have the red of Kobe Port Tower, and so on and so on. So there is more than 70 shades of colored inks that I was able to use for these illustrations. So to sum it up, the agency that was seeking someone to do the illustration thought about an artist that can do paintings of Kobe sites, famous Kobe places, in style similar to watercolors using the colored inks, and probably I came up. I usually don't accept so much commissions. I prefer to focus on my own work using the support that you give me online. I can do it, but sometimes when an interesting commission like this one comes up, and especially when the agency or company wants to use my own style, so they don't want me to paint in someone else's style or do a background that looks like this anime or that anime, but just wants to commission me to paint something, I take it under consideration. And this time, because I was offered to use the Kobe inks, so it was interesting from the technical point of view, and also I was allowed to just paint sites of the city I know and like, I accepted the commission. So now you can already buy the Kobe chocolate that has my illustrations in the packages if you are in Japan, and the campaign is on the way, so I can show you the illustrations that I made and how I made them. The whole project is made of 10 main illustrations that I made. 4 of them are this kind of card type that will be put into chocolate boxes, so when you open a box there's a card inside with my illustration, and 6 illustrations, more horizontal, more panoramic, will be used on chocolate bags. So if you take a bag of chocolates and you open it correctly and then kind of reverse it to make it into a small bowl, the illustration will be printed on the sides. It's kind of hard to explain, but maybe I'll be able to show them to you in upcoming videos. Either way, the illustration you are watching right now in the video is one of those more panoramic ones that will be featured on the chocolate bags. But first, of course, we had to find the things for me to paint. Luckily, the agency that actually commissioned the thing invited me and Kana to Kobe for a few days of location hunting, so we were able to go around the city and see some of the sites that the company would like me to feature in the packaging. They were not like really specific, okay, we want this and this and this, but just let me choose the things that I wanted to paint. So they had some preferences and we were guided around the places by the agency people. But because I lived in Kobe for such a long time, I also wanted to go some places myself. So I added my options to the list. And also I went only with Kana to few places. We generally spent with Kana few really nice days doing reference photos all around Kobe, and Kana took also some videos of us just going around. And to top it, we actually met the designer of Kobe inks, so the person who actually came up with the idea of making inks based on Kobe places and designed all the 70 colors featured in the series. We had a great time just geeking out about like painting supplies and writing supplies and fountain pens and inks while talking with him, and in the end I was able to choose like 15 or 16 colors that I will be using for this series. I didn't want to take all the colors with me because that would be just too much. Even with the 15 colors that I had, they took a lot of space on my desk and it was quite complicated actually. But because there are so many colors, I could choose a set that had all the colors that I needed, and the colors that I didn't have, I could mix using these. I also wanted to use the Kobe inks for the lines of the pieces I was going to paint. I tried to use the glass pen for the first time. From what I know, this is actually a Japanese invention, which is really interesting actually. A pen made entirely of glass, including the tip, which works in a really interesting way actually because it has these grooves. So when you put the tip into ink, the ink seeps into the grooves and then just flows smoothly down while you draw. And I wanted to use this pen because, one, it works really smooth and nice on watercolor paper, even though it has a bit of texture to it, but also it allows me to use all kinds of inks and also mixed inks really fast. So I can just switch the color of the ink that I have in the pen just by dipping it into water and cleaning it out, and then just putting the tip into another color. So I can use a lighter color, for example, for things that are in the distance, and then use a dark ink for things that are closer. So we get this kind of depth and distance without changing actually the width of the line. Okay, so as you can see, this is a bit of an experiment from the technical side, but also from the stylistic point of view. I aimed for a style that's a bit different than what I usually use. You can probably see it in this first picture, and this is how it turned out. You can also probably notice that Kana helped me designing the characters for this series. I'll talk more about the style and the decisions I made here in next videos, but for now that's it. Okay, I hope you liked this one. As always, feel free to comment, share and subscribe, and you can also support me on Patreon. See you in the next one. Bye!